I'm so sorry, I think we're a bit late. Are we late? We're about 30 seconds late. Good morning, everyone. Here we are again, yes, for Rosemary's live YouTube, and we're looking forward to answering questions from you all. Today's topic is selfishness and selfless. When is what? When are we being selfish? When should we be selfish? When should we stop being selfless, or should we ever stop being selfless? Should we always be giving to everybody else? Because, you know, everybody thinks the nice thing is to just be a nice person and give and give and give and give to everybody else. So we're going to talk about that topic. But before we begin, let's just say good morning to my spirit guide Gregor, who, as usual, is standing to my right side. And yes, let's say good morning to Carolyn, who is on my far right side. Say good morning, Carolyn.
Good morning, Carolyn.
See, it wouldn't be the same without her, would it? All right, so she is now tapping into all of you who are live, and we're going to hopefully get some live questions. All right, so our topic. Excuse me, I'm going to take a little drink here first. I'm slurping all over the place. There we are. All right, so when is it okay to be selfish? And is it ever okay to be selfish? Should we be selfish? Well, it may surprise you to know that with my students, with my healers, with all of the healers who have gone through my hands over all of these many, many years that I've been doing this, I encourage them to be selfish. I encourage selfishness, and has that shocked some of you? It may have shocked some of you. I encourage people to be selfish, because if you're not selfish, I don't mean selfish to the point of walking all over everybody else. I don't mean selfish to the point of deliberately hurting other people. But sometimes being selfish requires that other people are inevitably going to be hurt or going to be upset with us. But I advocate selfishness because as a healer, we give and we give and we give. We do, all of us who are healers, all of you out there who are listening, all of you who are listening who want to be healers, who would love to be a healer. Okay, so we give, and people come to us. In my organization, we do not charge for healing, so it's not as if we're getting paid for our time or our energy, which, you know, I don't say that people shouldn't charge. I'm just saying that we don't charge. We don't have a need to charge. I'm very lucky that we don't have a need to charge. So our healing has always been given for free. However, you know, there are people out there, they come to us, they need healing, and they need more, and then they need more, and then they need more, and then we get one person, then we get two people, and then we get 10 people, then we get 20 people, and then it grows and grows, as our healing organization did. And then all of a sudden, before we know it, instead of having healers who are local to us, patients who are local to us, then we start getting patients from all over the country. Then we start getting patients from all over the globe, and we do now have patients, many, many patients all over the world who come to us. Well, you know, that's all well and good, and we're very happy to do that. I personally am very happy to do that. My team is very happy to do that, because that's what we're about. We're happy to share. We're happy to send out our energy. We're happy to send out our love and our healing prayers to whoever needs it. However, we also have those times when we have to say no, because for my part, I'm one little person. I'm just that one little individual. I only have so much to give. Now, it's true that I have a massive amount of energy. I can walk rings around most young people, and often do. I can stand in a lecture hall for hours and hours and hours on my feet, not sitting down, talking, sharing, expanding, working, and I can do this and I can do this while other people are exhausted. I have worked with other people who get exhausted way before I do. So yes, I do have a tremendous amount of energy, and I do have a tremendous amount of my own self to give. But even so, no matter how much you have of yourself to give, if you don't be selfish, if you don't first and foremost give to yourself, if you don't first and foremost give to you and make sure that you're okay, make sure that you're properly fed, make sure that you've had enough rest as much as you can, make sure that you are okay. In other words, if you don't put yourself first in these situations, then you can guarantee that at some point down the road, you're going to get sick. You're going to, become worn out. You're going to become tired out. You're going to become exhausted. You're going to become irritable. You're going to become all of those things that we don't want a healer to be. We're going to become just worn out. And so if I don't give to me first, how am I going to sustain my energy in order to give as much as I can to everybody else? So when I say that I advocate selfishness, this is what I'm talking about. I have seen with my own eyes fabulous healers, wonderful healers. One particular healer I can remember in England, when I worked in England, he was amazing. He was an amazing guy, and he gave and he gave and he gave. And at some point, sort of 20 years later, he was way old before his time. He was completely crippled up with arthritis. He just had barely any energy, and now he wasn't the healer at all. Now he was the patient. Now, I'm not saying that might not have happened anyway, but I can tell you, when you expend your energy to the point of destroying yourself and destroying your own energy and destroying your body, your physical energy, when you expend your energy and give and give and give to other people to the point of, exhaustion yourself, then that's ridiculous. And that's, then, you're being, you might be considered to be being selfless, but I consider it to be being stupid, because you can't continue to work if you don't take care of you first. In the same regard, what I do when I'm measuring selfishness and selflessness, when I'm measuring those things, if I'm going to look to myself first, sometimes we have people around us, and it happens to all of us. You may be one of those people listening, who knows, who you're always wanting something from someone, and you're always seeking out someone somewhere, which is fine, because, then that means that you need something, that you're a needy person. But when you are a person, let's say you're in a relationship, and I'll speak for myself now. You're in a relationship with someone, and you are giving and you are giving and you are giving as much as you can. I was in a relationship with an alcoholic many years ago. See, I thought, I'm a healer. I thought, I'm pretty good at this stuff, bring it on. I didn't quite think that, but, I thought, I can heal and I can give. And, I really, my heart went out to this man, because, he had this issue, he had this problem. All right. So I gave of my energy, I gave of my understanding, and I have never cried more tears in a relationship as I cried in that relationship, I can tell you, because it didn't matter what I did or what I tried or how I worked hard for this. It simply just, there was always more. He always wanted more, or different, or I wasn't doing it right this way, or, whatever. And in the end, it became a relationship which was actually quite abusive, not in a physical sense, but certainly emotionally, it was an abusive relationship. And certainly it was, abusive mentally, because it really can do your head in when somebody tells you that, you're not doing things right, or you should be doing things differently, or why can't you be more understanding, and so on and so forth. And in the meantime, they're guzzling from a whiskey bottle or a vodka bottle. Vodka usually is the choice with many alcoholics, because you can't smell it, you see. So they think you can't smell it. Well, actually you can. And on this goes. So I personally am speaking from a point of view of being in a relationship which became abusive, because I was trying to be who I wanted to be. I wanted to be that understanding, caring, loving person. Well, I should have quit sooner, but I don't like to quit. But should I have been selfish and just gone my own way from much earlier than I did? Should I have been selfish and saved myself, or should I have been selfless and tried to save him? Well, I have to tell you, having gone through that, you become, when you're in those kinds of abusive relationships, it may be alcohol, it may be emotional abuse, or whatever it is, people get involved in these things. Whatever it is, the sooner you quit them, the better you are, because at some point you become a victim, albeit maybe you're a willing victim, and at some point the abuse turns to rape, and it's the rape of the mind and the rape of the emotions, not necessarily the rape of the physical body, but the rape of the mind, the rape of the emotions. When you find yourself being drained in any situation, when you find yourself being drained to the point of absolute exhaustion and you're getting nothing back, it is time to quit. It is time to be selfish, because if you don't care of you, take care of you, certainly a partner in this regard is not going to take care of you whatsoever. So do I advocate selfishness? I absolutely do. Do I advocate selfishness to the point where, you know, you're going to take all the chocolates for yourself and you're not going to share? Let me think about that. Yeah, actually, I do. I advocate. Now, that little tidbit was for Maggie, because Maggie sent me some chocolate cherries, dark chocolate cherries, which I just love. And I have to tell you that I wouldn't share them. And probably the only person I'm actually going to share my chocolate cherries, my dark chocolate cherries with, if they're milk chocolate, you can have them. If they're dark chocolate cherries, I have to tell you that the only person I'm going to share them with is my grandson. My daughter, I have to think about it. My assistant, Carolyn, no way. No, she can have all the milk chocolate stuff that comes along. I'll give it to her happily, and I do, and I feed her too. Don't think she's deprived here. But am I going to be selfish about my chocolate cherries? You betcha. I'm I'm afraid I'm selfish with my chocolate cherries. I'm not such a nice person after all, you see. Anyway, so when it comes to the small things, you know, like I'm going to have that last piece of cake, or, well, actually, I don't care for cake, so you can have it. But am I going to take the most comfortable chair in the room? Probably. I probably am. However, if there is some infirm person who needs that chair more than I do, I will give it up. I will be selfless, and I will I'll be selfless, and I'll give it up. I'll give up the chair. But if, you know, if we're all about equal in our needs and wants, I'm taking the chair. Move out of the way, I'm taking the chair. So that, sorry, you know.
No. I'm going, because I'm wondering, since you're an earth sign,
yes,
is that your...
I'm planning and strategizing here.
Right.
It's true. It's very true,
Yeah, because when I walk into a room as a peacemaker, I think about who needs that comfy chair more than me.
Not me. No, not me. No. When I walk, I'm an earth sign, so I walk into a room and I've got it all worked out within seconds like this, and I'll go for the chair that suits me the best. Now, it does happen. People don't think I'm awful, too awful. I am awful, but don't think I'm too awful, because I do have a bad back, and I do have a kidney thing going on, and right?
Yes.
And I can't sit in a totally straight back chair because I would never get out of it. So I'm making excuses for myself, because even if I didn't have a bad back, the truth of the matter is I probably would still take the comfy chair, because, you know, and I'll assess very quickly. However, I'll willingly give it up if I see someone who needs it more. So that makes me an okay person, right? Sort of. So there are certain things that we can be selfish about. You know, taking the biggest piece of cake is not something I would necessarily, maybe I would do, depends. Little things, we can be selfish or not selfish. We can give it up or not give it up. But what we're talking about today, and I think what, you know, people out there are going to be wanting to hear, is about, you know, when should we stop giving to our children? When should we stop giving to that neighbor who is just so incessantly taking up our time that we don't have that time to give, but yet they come and they're needy, and we sit and we give to them, and then, you know, often when they go away, then we moan and complain that they've stayed too long. When is it okay to say no to someone, when is it okay to say no, and when should we say yes? Now, do we have any questions, or is
Yes, we do.
Okay? So, all right. So let's go with our first question, and we'll continue this conversation.
This is Michelle.
Hello, Michelle.
And she says, do you believe mind positive attitude rules over the body? And what are your thoughts on medications and supplements?
Did we just go way off?
Well, the positive mind attitude, does that rule the body?
Right. I'll tell this little story. Many, many years ago, my doctor told to me. So many years ago, he had a patient who had cancer, and he was given 6 months to live. And this guy looked at his doctor, and he was a one-parent family, and he had 6, let's say, so I can't remember exactly how many kids, but quite a few kids. And he said, I've got 6 kids. They've got no mother. If you think I'm dying in 6 months' time and leaving them to it, you're mistaken. The doctor said, but you've got terminal cancer. He said, I don't care what I've got. I'm not leaving my kids. 30 years later, he was still going. His kids were grown up, and he was not really any closer to dying. So does mind work over matter? Absolutely, without a doubt. Our mind is the most positive, or it can be the most negative. Our mind is the most positive and the most powerful tool that we have in our little tool bag. Our mind can create many, many situations, both positive and negative. Another little story, I think I told this a few weeks ago, but I'll remind you of it. There were 2 guys, both, let's say they were both named Mr. Smith. This is a true story. One had terminal cancer, and one had stomach ulcers. And for whatever reason, the doctor got them confused, and he told the guy with the stomach ulcers that he was dying. He got cancer, he got 6 months to live, and he told the guy with the stomach cancer that, that he got ulcers. So, and they were treated for similar. Well, the guy who was told he had cancer put himself to bed, and within 3 months he was dying. He'd become emaciated, he wasn't eating. I mean, he looked like a cancer patient. He looked as if he were dying. He really was, and he was sort of not being able to breathe properly, taking his last breath, etc., etc. And one day the doctor came and knocked at the door and, asked his wife to come and sit with him, with this patient who was now bedridden, and sat by his bedside and held his hand. He said, Mr. Smith, I've got something to tell you. I'm awfully sorry. I don't know how it happened, but we made a mistake. You do not have cancer. You have stomach ulcers. Now, again, it's a true story. A doctor friend of mine told me that story. So mind over matter. He was told he had cancer, and he was told he got 6 months to live, and by God, he was going to, he was living up to it. So yes, it does work. I've forgotten the second part of the question, but
the second part was, what are your thoughts on medications and supplements?
Well, I don't take anything, but
she really doesn't.
Just
you really don't. But most people won't believe that.
Say that on camera.
She really does.
I really don't.
No.
Are you having to confirm? And I say I don't take anything. You're having to confirm.
Yes,
right.
Yes, because you really don't.
No,
there
really.
are a couple times I'm like, do you think you should go to the doctor?
No. That's sort of done. Well, I'm not saying it's a good thing. I think that the problem with medications, you'll know if you're around me long enough and I take an aspirin or something, I've got to be bad, because I don't like to put anything in my body that's going to make any difference to my body. And here's the thing, that a lot of these, we have, I don't know how many millions of cells we have in our body. But when you do research on medications, you'll find that a lot of those medications actually will change the cell structure in your body. Now, it is true that I have a great deal of energy. We already talked about that earlier on. And people do think that I'm on this supplement or that supplement or one thing or another. But no, it's all here, right in the mind. It's all about the mind. I'm not saying I don't get up in the morning and walk about bent over because my bones won't straighten up yet, because I do. I'm getting older, but do I? And my sister, very often, I know she takes all kinds of medications and so on. And she wrote to me a few weeks ago to say I better check something or another out, because it turns out that we've got a condition which is hereditary. And I think, well, that's very nice, and then I delete it. So it just happens that I don't do that. I have to be really sick if I'm going to go to the doctor, and I have to be even sicker still if somebody gives me medications, because I really try very, very hard not to take them, not even supplements. I do believe, however, in honey. I believe if you put it on a cut or a burn or whatever, it's amazing. Honey has amazing properties, and I think if you take it every day, which I do sometimes, I don't take it every day, but I take it most days. I'll just take a spoonful. I think honey is the magic ingredient for me. So if your doctor says you need medication, very often, you hear it all the time, very often they'll give you a medication, then they give you another medication, and the two medications clash, and then you've got even a bigger problem.
Or cause side effects.
Or it'll cause side effects.
So then you have to take another medicine.
Then you take another medication for the side effects. So let's just say it's not that I'm against them, because with all of my patients, I will advise them, please see your healthcare professional, please go see your doctor and do what your doctor suggests. And we'll often work with doctors, with the patient. But you need to just, you're your own advocate. When my daughter is sick, she will be the first to tell you, I am there in the hospital, I'm by her side, and the doctors and the nurses have to come through me. And I'm really nice, but I'm really firm. So if they're going to give her a medication, I want to know what it is. I want to know what it does. I want to know what side effects are, etc., etc., etc. I'm much more about dealing with these things with my daughter and with my grandson probably than I am with myself. But be your own advocate is what I say. Check out. If somebody says you need something, please just check it out. Don't just throw it down your throat just because the doctor says you should. Please don't do that. So, just be your own advocate and just be very wary. And, supplements, by all means, take as many as you feel you want. But again, check them out. Make sure, because here's the thing, all right? Everybody says that spinach is healthy, nuts are healthy, berries and fruit are healthy, right? I can't eat spinach. I can't eat broccoli. I can't eat nuts. Definitely can't eat nuts, can't eat berries, etc., etc. So what is good for one person is not necessarily good for another. And what you perceive as a healthy food is for some people like myself, and Carolyn will tell you, because we have this funny thing going on in my house. What is good for some people, like a regular dark green salad, great. Who wouldn't want that? Me. Because of this little thing called oxalates. So I know my body quite a bit, and I try not to eat the foods that are going to be harmful to me. I'm not supposed to eat chocolate either, but I don't eat it every day by any means. But give me a box of dark chocolate, liquid cherries, oh yummy, I love them, and I'm not going to, you can only do what you can do. All right, so it's good to be selfish sometimes with yourself, as I am sometimes with my chocolates.
And that's where Michelle was coming from. She said, my questions were about self-care.
Be your own advocate. Who is this, Michelle? Michelle. Yeah, just be careful, all right? Be careful, because you don't want to become a hypochondriac. I mean, I've known a few of those in my time. But taking care of yourself, which I do, even though I don't take medications, I do take good care of myself. I indulge myself. You
get exercise. You swim.
I do. I swim, not as much as I should. But, your own body, if you're not sort of pumped up with pills and things, your body speaks to you. Your soul speaks to you. Your mind will tell you what you need. If you get up and you're aching, and, I've been having problems with my hands over the last week because my hands are really stiff and awkward. And I suddenly realized it's because I've been tearing up carpet last week with my friend Karen, and that's what's done me in. So no more tearing up of carpets for me until the next time, of course. You know, I mean, your own body, if you listen to your own body will tell you when you need something, or if you need a supplement, or if you need to go to the doctor, if you need to rest, and all of that stuff. Another weird thing though about me, I have to tell you, is because I do have a tremendous amount of energy. Would you say, Carolyn,
Yes.
I mean, I really
Yes.
do. I can keep going like that the bunny, you know, that
The Energizer
the
Bunny.
Energizer Bunny. That's me. I can keep going like that when I have to. But I don't need much sleep either. So if I get 5 hours of sleep in a day, that's more than enough in a night time. I mean, I often don't go to bed until 3 in the morning, and I'm up at 8. So, you know, I don't need a great deal of sleep either. So, but listen to your body and do what you want with your body. But also, when you're dealing with other people and you're dealing with situations, especially when it's with your kids, because it's hard, or with your husband or with your spouse or whatever, it's hard because your emotions get in the way. But if you listen to what your heart is telling you, listen to what your soul is telling you, if you start to listen to the voice of your soul, then, you know, then you're less likely to keep giving, you know, when you should be saying no. So we have to learn when it is appropriate to say no.
We have a couple more questions.
Go, knock yourself out here. Let's have those questions.
We'll ask Martha's first, because I feel this is important, and you might want to put a little thingy out there that you are not a physician. And
I'm not a physician.
Yes.
Oh, no, I'm not.
Martha,
this is why, but I already said, I always tell my patients and I always tell my clients, go and see your doctor. Go and see your doctor. If I give someone advice, for instance, people who suffer with arthritis or anything like that, no salt, no dairy. It's really important. However, check with your dietitian, check with your doctor. Don't take my word for it, because it's true. I am not a physician. I am a healer, yes. And I'm pretty smart, and I know certain things that work and certain things that don't work. But I always advocate, you know, don't take it from me. Go to your dietitian, go to your doctor, check it out. I mean, there's so many places nowadays we can get all kinds of information. Be careful, because too much information can confuse you. But you know, check these things out with your doctor. That's always my advice, because I am not a doctor and I do not profess to have any medical knowledge whatsoever.
So Martha's question is, I take hormones because I had breast cancer.
Right.
They make me feel awful, and I was thinking of stopping them. What is your opinion?
Well, oh, Martha, I'm so sorry that you're going through this, and it's bad enough that you had to go through something, and then when whatever the stuff you're taking makes you feel lousy too. I know for a fact, absolutely, that there are a variety of different ways that you can take hormones, and you need to go to your doctor. Now, you need to actually check if your doctor isn't going to talk to you or isn't going to help you, you need to change your doctor. Don't be afraid to change your doctor. Be your own advocate. If you're with a doctor you feel is not sympathetic to your needs, or doesn't understand you, or isn't listening to you, as many doctors are prone to do, not too many actually these days, but you know, if you feel that you need to talk to someone else or get a different doctor, don't think twice about it. Be selfish with yourself in that regard. You are your own advocate, and because nobody else is going to do it like you do it for yourself. So, you know, there are lots of different ways. It may well be that the hormonal treatment that you're taking just simply does not suit your body. There are also a lot of natural remedies and natural therapies that you can take to help with this situation. I'm not saying instead of, I'm saying combined with, because you know, what I find is the best medicine for people is to combine natural healing techniques with medical science. Do not discard medical science, because thank God, none of us, I certainly wouldn't be here if it weren't for medical science and medical doctors giving me what I needed when I needed it. So don't discard that. Just because I don't take medications doesn't mean I'm against them. It just means that I'm very careful with what I'm going to put in my body. If I were in a situation where, a matter of needing a quality of life, and I could only get it through taking one particular medication, of course I would take it. I'm not against medication. What I'm saying to you is check it out, see what it does to you, see what the side effects are. But in your case, darling, what I would do is I would really talk to a medical professional. And if, as I said, your doctor is not sympathetic to you, find a doctor who is. Do not be afraid to find another doctor. Very often in a group practice, you can say to this person, look, I feel I'm not getting what I need from you. Can you recommend me another doctor in your practice? And they're obliged to help you. They are obliged to help you in that regard. Let us know, though. To give us a heads up. Email. Let us know how you're doing, sweetie.
All right. Ambra asks, what if the heart and mind is sick with depression? How do you treat that?
Okay, well, depression is a real stinker, actually, because people get depressed for lots of different reasons. It's not as if depression is caused by X and therefore we can fix it. Depression can be caused by many, 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 many things. But, we have, and I know this is going to sound harsh perhaps, but all of us, we have a free will. So we can choose to go down that road of depression and become more and more depressed. We can refuse to allow other people to help us. We can refuse to take advice. As you're listening to this, you can refuse to listen to me. If I tell you that you can help yourself, you might not want to help yourself. You might be so, sunk into this situation that you might think I'm talking nonsense. But bottom line here, we all have choices. And you can choose in a depressed state. You can choose to wallow in it, because at some point, that's what we do. And I'm not being mean when I say that. I have been in that situation. I spent hours one time sitting in an empty bathtub. Wouldn't get out. Couldn't get out. Couldn't get my body to move. Didn't want to get my body to move. I've been there. It's not as if I'm talking about something I've never experienced. Okay, so I mean that was an extreme situation for me to sit for hours and hours in a bathtub, because I was afraid of what I'd do to myself if I got out of the bathtub. I was so depressed and so down, and I had nowhere to go and no one I could talk to about it, because I felt, that no one could help me. So I sat in the bathtub, and I was in the bathtub for more than half a day before I finally crawled out. And then the next thing I did was put myself in the chair, and I still didn't move for the rest of the day. And so, okay, so there comes a point, depressed or not, no matter how depressed you are, there comes a point where because your mind tells you so, and your heart tells you so, that there comes a point where you have a choice. You continue the way you're going, or you get off your butt and you do something about it. I'm not saying it's easy. And when I say get off your butt, it might sound as if I'm making it sound simple, but it's not simple. You get off your butt, you dial a friend, you call a professional, you go see someone, not someone who's going to give you necessarily medication, because I'm don't care for medication when someone's depressed, because I think it can create even a more depressive state. When you're depressed, it's because you need someone to talk to. You need to explain yourself. You need somebody to listen to you. But people come to me with depressed states all the time. I can only help if you're prepared to help. I can only help that person if they're prepared to help themselves. So if I give them an exercise to do, which is going to get them out and about, and they don't do it, again, it comes down to choices. It's a choice. You can listen to me. You can work with me. You can do what I suggest you do. And the chances are you're going to become less and less and less depressed over a period of time. It's not going to happen fast, but the chances are if you work with a professional who can help you and you do what they suggest, choices again, you choose to do what they suggest, you can come out of it. If you choose not to, if you choose to wallow, no one can help you. Too bad. Take as many pills as you like, it won't help. Talk as much as you like, it won't help. Tell people as much as you like, as often as you like, how depressed you are. There comes a point, a choice that you have to make. Are you going to help yourself? Are you going to take the advice that people are giving you? Are you going to do as somebody suggests you do and get off your bum? Are you going to go out in the park and experience the sunshine, even if it's only for 5 minutes? Are you going to go out into the children's playground and watch the kids playing and, feel something and put yourself outside of your own self? Are you going to do that? There's your choice. And if you're not going to do it, then you choose to be depressed. Then you choose. So.
All right, now we've got Blanca.
Hello, Blanca.
And Blanca says, just curious, what are your thoughts on birth control? Taking it to prevent pregnancy. It is very common use, but it worries me that it'll affect my body in negative ways. And then she says, mind over body. If I tell myself I will not become pregnant, I will not. Just kidding.
I think other than birth control, the only sure way to stop yourself becoming pregnant is to not have sex ever, or to cross your legs, or whatever it is, just keep your legs crossed or something. All right. This actually I can speak to very clearly. All right. So I never, ever took birth control. Never. When it came a time for my daughter, she sort of, got to that age, I'd always said to her, always, when it's time or whatever, before you do anything, come and talk to me. Well, she had a serious boyfriend. They'd been going out for 3 years. Came the day she came to talk to me, and I just did not want to listen. I behaved so badly. All of those things I told her, I'll listen to you, I'll help you. No, I didn't want to know. Blocked my mind, and I kept dodging her, and I knew she was after me. I kept dodging her. Every time she came into the room with me, I'd go into another room. I kept it's called avoidance. Until the point that she trapped me in a room and she told me, and I exploded. I mean, because she's my little girl, and I exploded. She exploded. You told me that to come to you, and I'm here, and so on. Anyway, so ashamed, hanging my head. I mean, I held on to my daughter. I apologized. We both cried, and I was, and I apologized. But I just said to her, I just can't stand the fact that you're not my little girl anymore. Anyway, the upshot of that story was that she wanted to go on birth control, and I was adamant that I didn't want to go on birth control, because if you check it out, you check out those little pills. As I said earlier, there are trillions of cells in your body. I don't know how many million there are, but lots of millions of little cells in our body, and one little tiny pill will change the structure of those cells. Not all of them, but many of them. One little pill will change your cell structure. So, I'm against them personally. I was against them for my daughter. We went to the doctors. I went with her. She asked me to go with her. And, she was well over age, but she still wanted me to go with her. So the doctor, she told the doctor what she wanted, and the doctor started writing out a prescription. And I said, hold it. Wait, no. Before you prescribe that, you need to tell her the side effects of this. You need to tell her what's going to happen to her body when she takes these things. Well, the doctor was furious with me, and I looked at the doctor, and see, I'm an advocate for my daughter and for my grandson, and I said, you don't write that prescription until you've told her all the fors and all the against. Well, there weren't any fors, except it would stop you getting pregnant. The against were numerous, many. So she gave her 1 or 2 and then started writing the prescription. And I said to the doctor, look, I said, could I just ask you to do your job? Can I ask you to do your job properly? You need to tell her the side effects thoroughly and clearly, and not just 1 or 2. You need to tell all the side effects. So this is what I'm going to suggest you do. You go to your doctor and you ask the doctor what the side effects are. Now, you know, I'm talking of a situation that's years ago. Maybe
There's tons
maybe,
of
maybe they've done something better. Maybe they've got something, a little magic pill that doesn't change your cell structure anymore. Maybe what you need to do is, would I personally take them? Absolutely not. I wouldn't put them in my body. I'm not having anything in my body that's going to change any tiny piece of me. All right, but everybody's different, and it may be, maybe somebody has no choice. Maybe if they were to get pregnant, it would be a dire consequence for them, as it was for me many years ago. My doctor told me I was the worst patient to ever consider having a baby ever. But anyway, so, but maybe there are reasons why people need to take them. Maybe there are milder forms, what have you. But there are, in fact, other forms of contraception. I don't know how good they are. Am I against putting a little pill in my mouth that is going to change my cell structure? You bet you I am. But it's your choice. We all have choices. So, my suggestion is, cross your legs and never have sex ever again. No, I'm just kidding. Just, my suggestion is go to your doctor, go to, professional, and talk it out, see what they suggest.
All right, Joyce is just a little FYI. She says, what works for me in a depressed state is to make a short list of things needing to be done, because getting bogged down depresses me even more. So I start throwing or cleaning out.
You should see my house right now. We're throwing and cleaning stuff out. I always find that, to say, a little prayer every night before you go to bed, and just to thank God for all of the positives. Now, you may struggle to find a positive in a day, but the fact that you're still breathing is a positive as far as I'm concerned. So every night before you go to bed, and every morning when you wake up, you just look to the heavens and say, dear God, thank you for another day. Thank you for another night. Dear God, thank you for my blessings. Thank you for the blessings of my children, my family, thank you for the blessings of good neighbors, and so on and so forth. There are lots and lots of things that we, even in our worst situation, even in our worst state, we can always find at least one or two things that we are blessed with. Sound mind, eyesight, hearing, our sensitivity, all those things that, so every morning and every night. But I'm sure, thank you for those suggestions, darling, because I think keeping busy is one of those. You know what they say, don't you? They say, if you want something done, ask a busy person. Because people who aren't busy, people who sort of lounge around, people who can't get up off the butts to do things, they're the people going to get the most depressed the most quickly. So yes, go clean your house from top to bottom. That'll really depress you, all those cobwebs that you never knew were there. And then when it's all done, wow, look at that. Next question. Next, anything else
we've got Sarah J, who says, hello, I made it. I remember you from years ago, and I love you.
Hello, Sarah Jane. Thank you.
She says, I still sort out selfish and selfless with mom issues.
Oh, yes. Now we're getting to it. Right, good. We finally got something here that, this is all about. Yes. So...
that was the end.
Okay. You need to give us a bit more, darling. It's very hard when we have, I was talking to a neighbor yesterday. She's got two parents in their 90s. She loves them to pieces. But they're thinking of coming down here. She's going to have to take care of them. And the truth of the matter is, who wants to, and I'm sorry, but who in their right mind wants to take care of two 90-some-year-old people? If we could wish our parents to be younger, healthier, stronger, of course, that would be great. It's not, it's not that we're being mean when we say we don't take care of them, but it's an exhausting thing to have to do. So, I mean, I don't know what you do. You have to be in those situations, especially when you love your parents, you care about your parents. You have to be in those situations. You have to be selfless. However, you have to have moments where you are completely selfish. So you go out and spend a couple of hours out doing nothing but what you want to do, thinking only of you. You've got to replenish you. So even when you are sort of involved in situations that you don't really have a choice about and that you are dragged into. I mean, I have another friend who she and her husband have to visit their 90-some-year-old. Well, it's her father-in-law. He's lovely, he's great, but every day, every single day, and when they don't go, he's calling them, and they've just moved him into a, the facility, very nice facility. But it's exhausting. It's really exhausting. So she'll call me up and she'll say, oh my goodness, I need a girl day. Can we go have a girls' day? And we go out and we don't think about what she has to do. So and she has those selfish times. You can call them selfish times. And I call them those times where, self-preservation. It's all about self-preservation. So even when you're in a situation, sometimes, when we're with our children especially, I think with my daughter, she'll call me up and she's got an issue and it goes on, and the next day and the next day and the next day, and there's still an issue. And there's only so much you can give, and there's only so much patience you can have, especially with your own. It's easier when you don't know somebody. It's easier to be nicer with a stranger than it is to be nice to your family, unfortunately. But there comes a point where self-preservation has to kick in, because if it doesn't, you become worn down and you become less than. In a relationship, it has to be, sometimes it's your turn and you need someone to give to you, and then sometimes it's their time, but it has to be balanced. In any relationship, whether it's a husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, sister, brother, any kind of a relationship, it has to be balanced, really. And if it isn't balanced, then it's time for you to assess whether you need to be a little bit more selfish with your own self. And don't think that that's a wrong thing to be, because it is not. I advocate it. Just remember.
Well, that's a good thing. So how do you handle someone who says you're being selfish when you really need a break? And what if it's
do you want to come in here? Come in here.
And what if it's, like an obligatory thing as a mother, and that you just need a break, and let's say dad's saying, well, you're being selfish. You're not there for our child. How do you handle that?
Well, in my case, I would handle it very easily. I would say, if you want to cook all the meals, mow the lawns, clean the floors, be there 90% of the time for our daughter, as I am, off you go, you do it then. In the meantime, until you can do all of those other things, as well as be supportive when it counts with our daughter or with our son, as if you think I'm selfish, fine, I would have no argument with it whatsoever. If you think I'm being selfish because I want to take time out for me, if you think that I'm being selfish because I do not want to sit for hours and hours and hours at a ball game, or I do not want to sit when you guys are having fun at the beach and I'm having to watch the bags, no, it doesn't work for me. So in my view, then it's so easy for other people who do turn around and say to you, well, your problem is you're too damn selfish for your own good. Well, you know what, say it to me, because I'll laugh and I'll own it. Because if I've got to sit in a family situation that is negative for me, and I'm not getting anything out of it, and if I have to do that on a regular basis every week, no, at some point I'm either going to explode, I'm going to be irritable with everybody, I'm not doing anybody any favors here, I'm certainly going to be irritable with myself. So if the choice is, I'll go watch you do this every other week or something, but every other week is my time that I can do just what I like, when I like, how I like it. Because in that time, in that my time, I'm replenishing myself. My daughter comes home, my spouse comes home, and I'm refreshed and I'm happy, and I'm giving to them much more than I ever can give to them by being forced into a situation that I do not want to be in. So, you know, I don't think if somebody says to me, well, you're selfish, I laugh, because you know what? I'll eat all those chocolates. I will. I really will. I mean, you know, sometimes it's fine. It's when you're being selfish to the point where you're walking all over everyone else to get what you want. No, 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 that's not fine at all. There are certain situations where selfishness is not acceptable. It's simply not acceptable. But when you are thinking of other people and you are putting other people first many, many times, every now and again, you have to put yourself first because it's necessary. Self-preservation. So, Carolyn, if somebody is saying to you, you're selfish, you should laugh at them and you should say, yeah, it's great. But because you're not selfish 100% of the time, you're being selfish maybe 10 or even 20% of the time. You're being selfish, thinking about yourself and self-preservation, and that's okay. That's okay. Now, I give you an example. A woman came to me once and she'd read one of these spiritual books which advocates it's all about you, the inner you, feed the inner child, and all of that. And she actually, this has happened a few times, I know. And they leave their husband and they leave their children and they go off and they do their own thing because, hey, you know, because I have to think of me. In my book, that's when it's not okay. You had your kids. They didn't ask to be born. You stay with them until they don't need you anymore. You stay with your kids. You honor your kids and you honor your commitment, and you honor your commitment to your spouse, unless you don't love him anymore, and then that's a whole other conversation. But you don't just walk out on your children and leave them to fend for themselves. No, 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 no. That is not okay. Just to feed your inner child, well, you know, no, sorry. I can say a lot more about that. I'm not going to. But so, again, selfishness is fine. Learning to say no is great. And if someone tells you you're selfish, Carolyn, you just say, yeah. I mean, it's only like someone going to the beauty parlor and spending a day at a spa or something. You know, men go on the football field, they kick a ball around or they play whatever they play. That's their selfishness. I don't want to watch that. I'm not into that. So I'll go take my spa day while they're playing on the football field or whatever it is. And we're all happy. Then we all should be happy. But for someone to expect, for a man to expect me to sit by the side of the football field every time he plays to watch him play, and I'm selfish if I don't, it's time to quit that relationship, that's for sure. All right. Okay. So do we have anything else here?
Let me see. I've been over here. So thank you for the advice. This is from Martha.
Okay.
And she says, thank you for the advice. I don't feel so bad now when I tell my husband that I need a break from him.
Oh my goodness, no. But here's the thing. When he tells you the same thing, don't get uppity now. Don't, you know, because it works both ways. Because yes, there's nothing wrong with taking a break from someone. There's nothing wrong with them taking a break from you. And in fact, it's very beneficial. It can be very, very beneficial. You don't have to be glued to a person's side to love them. You don't have to be glued to your children's side for you to give them what they need. And sometimes our children need for us, strangely enough, sometimes our children need for us not to be there all the time. They need, you know, they need us to tell them to stand on their own two feet. They need for us to back off so that they can grow and so that they can learn. Because very often, you know, those parents who are always there for the kids and the kids abuse them dreadfully. I mean, it happens all the time. For all of those times, it's called self-indulgence on the part of the parent, because the parent is glued to the side of the kids. Children, as you know, I always used to say to my daughter, when you're 18, I'm kicking you out. Well, she always used to throw it back in my face. When she got to 20, she'd laugh at me and she'd say, I'm 20 and I'm still living at home. What are you going to do about it? But the point was that I was, of course, not going to kick her out. But the point was, I was saying to her, you know, there's a point where you have to grow up, and there'll be a point in your life when you're going to have to make your own life, and I'll help you do that. You know, there's a point where you're going to have to be living in your own place, and I'll help you do that too. Because that's part, you know, I mean, as much as we love our children, We don't want them 24/7. Well, I don't. And I adore my children. I adore my daughter and I adore my grandson. Do I want them 24/7? Of course not. I'd drive them crazy. They'd drive me crazy. But the time that we do have together and the time that we do spend together is real quality time. It does help, of course. I'm very fortunate. Every night I get to say goodnight to my darling boy. My daughter is so selfless. She always calls me, even when she doesn't want to, even when all she wants to do is get little boy to bed and get something to eat. She is so selfless in that regard. I might have a second, she'll say, okay, Mum, it's late. But every night, or sometimes I'll have 5 minutes, sometimes I'll have 10 or 15 minutes. But every night I get to see my grandson before he goes to bed, before he goes to sleep at night. And then of course I get to see him other times as well. And my daughter and I will talk very often, 3, 4 and sometimes 5 or 6 times in a day. She'll call me when she's making breakfast on Sunday morning. We FaceTime. I mean, that's self-indulgence, and that's there's nothing wrong with that. We're being selfish, 2 of us. I'm spending time with her, she's spending time with me. We are indulging. But don't be afraid to say no, and don't be afraid to say to your partner, to your spouse, to your kids, I'm taking the day off today. See ya. I'm doing this and I'll be back at such a time. You're not abandoning them. You're just taking time for yourself. Self-preservation. Anything else? We have to stop. Do we have anything else? Any other comment? Anyone else?
Nothing in particular.
Nothing in particular.
Nothing that.
All right. Well, I don't know where that hour went, but it went really fast. So, did we talk about selfishness at all? I think we might have done.
Yes,
anyway.
we did. Yes.
All right. So I'm going to be very selfish now because time is up. We're actually overtime, slightly overtime, which makes up for us being a little bit late.
Got a personal question.
Uh-oh.
From Ambra.
Amber, yes.
What is your favorite color?
Green. Okay. I have a daughter with green eyes. I have a grandson with green eyes. And I have green eyes. How can it be any other color but green? But thank you, darling, for asking. And all right. So in the meantime, until we meet again next week, Greg would like to say his goodbye. Carolyn, you'd like to say your goodbye.
Goodbye,
goodbye,
everyone.
Goodbye. Wipe a tear, baby dear, from my eye. You know that one? No. All right. So
Soul Signs.
Soul Signs is available, and all you have to do, if you want to know how to get it, email us rosemary@rosemaryaltair.com.
Or check out the Facebook page because it's on there.
Check out Facebook, Twitter.
Yeah, or go to lulu.com.
Meetup, lulu.com. You'll find it at lulu.com. We are
one paragraph away.
Not even, barely a paragraph away from Proud Spirit. So Proud Spirit should be available by next week. Yep. All right. And we've slightly altered the version, slightly changed it, so it's fun. All right. So that'll be available. And then we are going to work full time on the cookbook. Yes, we are definitely going to work on the cookbook. So we'll be sending recipes, and Carolyn and I may well be making some ginger fairlings this afternoon. The fastest, quickest, easiest cookies, the most delicious. If you like ginger, especially delicious. We're going to be making some ginger fairlings later on. We're going to make a little video. Karen's going to make a little video of me. We're going to make some ginger fairlings and show you how quick and easy. 5 minutes, no machines, just one non-stick saucepan and a wooden spoon is all you need. All right. So until then, until next time, please, 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 all of you, please have a very, very blessed day.